Okay, we are starting with a topic that is called organic chemistry. Organic chemistry. It's a chemistry topic. This topic is very important because it is one of the topics for chemistry which have the highest marks. One of the topics for chemistry which have what? The highest marks. It is the most simplest topic for chemistry, and throughout the experience that I have, I've seen kids enjoying this topic because it is easy to enjoy this topic, especially when you understand what we are doing. So this topic, as I've told you, we call it organic chemistry. So, since it's organic chemistry, it means we are going to deal with organic molecules. We're going to deal with what? Organic molecules. What is an organic molecule? It's a molecule. It's a molecule that contains carbon atoms. What is an organic molecule? It's a molecule which contains carbon atoms. If you remember when you were doing grade 10 life sciences, there is a topic which is called life at the molecular, cellular, and tissue level. In this topic, you learn about organic molecules. You're going to learn about protein. You learned about starch. You learn about fats and lipids and different things, right? Which are organic molecules. You know why are they called organic molecules? Because of the presence of carbon atoms. My people, this topic is a theory. It is based on theory. There are no calculations, but there are certain way of doing things which you need to grab. But it's a theory, meaning that you need to take a lot of notes. In this topic, we've got many definitions. We have a lot of definitions, right? It's unlike in vertical projectile whereby we have only two definitions. So we're going to do a topic which is called organic chemistry, and it is called organic chemistry because we're going to talk about organic molecules. What are organic molecules? These are molecules that contain carbon atom. Before we learn and we go far, we need to understand the language. We speak in a different language when we come to organic chemistry, and we need to know that what does this mean. There are many ways of writing things in a different way. We need to understand the language as we understand maybe Xitsonga, the way we speak Xitsonga. We speak it in a certain way because we know the language, right? We cannot just say anything. We know the language. So even in this chemistry, organic chemistry, we need to know what? The language. You can see here, I wrote 1 up to 10. But at 8, I said what? Stop. It's because the exam guideline states that we need to teach you up to 8 carbon. I will explain what I mean by 8 carbon, right? So, okay, you see these numbers which I wrote here, right? These are number of carbon. If I were you, I was going to write number of carbon because I didn't write here. I was going to write number of carbon. These numbers, they indicate what? The number of carbons. Then, myself, I did a mnemonic when I was doing grade 12, a mnemonic to cram these things. My mnemonic states that map, boot, pant, head, or node. Right? Map, boot, pant, head, or node. It's nothing. It does not exist. It's a mnemonic for me to be able to write this thing, right? So now, I want to give you the details. What do I mean? You see, this M, it stands for math. This M, it stands for math. What does math mean? Math means one carbon, one. What does math mean? It means one carbon. E, it stands for if. What does if mean? It means two carbon, right? Then here we have prop. What does prop mean? It means three carbon. What does but mean? Four carbons, right? What does pent? This is a pent. Pent. What does pent mean? Five carbon. What does heads mean? What does head mean? What does oct mean? Eight carbon, right? Then we'll stop at carbon at 8 carbon. But I just want to show you that we still have more, right? We have non and deck, right? Yes. We have these things. You understand? So het, oct, hex, pent, but, prop, f, meth. What does it mean? It's a number of carbons, right? So this number of carbons, by me hearing the word meth, any word which will start by meth, what will it be meaning? It means there are one carbon that is involved, right? Immediately you hear if, it will mean there are two carbons that are involved. And you never wrote what I just said. You know that. You never wrote in your own way. You need to be writing the things that I say, guys. You need to hear that this is a point, I need to write it down in your own way, isn't it? So, where does that lead us? Because I've already demonstrated that we'll talk about organic molecules. They are called organic molecules because of the presence of what? Of carbon. Then we move forward. We are going to talk about what we call homologous series. We're going to talk about what we call homologous series. We're going to talk about what we call homologous series. The question which we may ask now is, what are homologous series? Homologous series, it's a series of organic compounds. Series of organic compounds. Of organic compounds that can be described by the same general formula. We're going to talk about what we call homologous series. What are homologous series? It's a what? Series of organic compounds that can be described by the same general formula. What are homologous series? Homologous series are series of organic compounds that can be described by the same general formula. When we talk, I'm erasing this, right? We have already taken this. Meth, 1 carbon. F, 2 carbon. Prop, 3 carbon. But, 4 carbon. This is not but, it's but. What do we call it? Not but. But. Can you say but? But. It's called but, right? Okay. Homologous series. My people, how can you, what is an analogy to homologous series? Do you know what an analogy is? It's an analogy. It's when you give an example, you're trying to compare. That's an analogy. They won't ask you analogy. It's an English word, guys. It's an English word. It has got nothing to do with physics. An analogy of homologous series can be movies. Do you know movies? We know we have movies which are series. You know series, right? You find that we have series, and that series have got chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter up to chapter 5, whatever, or chapter 6. It's a series, right? It's a movie, né? So the definition is like movies which have got the same genre. We know we have series which are horror. We have series which are what? Horror. We have series which are what? Drama. We have series which are what? Action. We have series which are what? Comedy. We have series which are comedy, right? It's a series. Do you understand? So what is a homologous series? It's a series of organic compounds which can be described by the same general formula. It's like when we talk about homologous series, we won't use genre as in movies. We're going to use what? General formula. So it means different series, but they have described by the same general formula, right? It's like different series, but they're being described by one genre. Horror. We're going to have many series under what? Horror. So even this definition, it's what is a homologous series? Series of organic compounds which can be described by the same general formula. What about series of a movie that are being described by the same what? It's a series of movies which can be described by the same what? Genre. You understand? Homologous series, these are what? Series of organic compounds which can be described by the same general formula. It means they have got the general formula. So we're going to talk about a lot of different series. You get it? We're going to talk about many names. It's series. Many names. It's series. Series of what? Series of organic compound. Are you okay? Okay. Some people, the manner in which they do it, they draw sort of a table. They draw a table. Then here they write homologous series. Right? Then here they write the structure. Then here they write what? The description. They write the homologous series, they write the structure and the description. You understand? But it's your choice. I usually do not do it like that. But I feel it's good when you write it like this. It makes you to understand, right? But you can write one. You can write number one. Write number one. Then we talk about the first series. You write number two. Talk about the second series. It's your choice, right? But some people, they write it like that. Okay. So there is one series. It's movie number one. Movie number one, right? The first series. The first series that we are going to talk about. It is called alkane. It is called the what? It is called the what? Okay. It is called the what? The al? Okay. So, there is something which I want to share with you. Okay. I want to bring in a new word. This new word is called suffix. You can write the suffix here on the side. There is a word which is called what? Suffix. What is a suffix? These are what? A group of letters that are at the end. Right? This is the word that you find at the end. Ending words. Ending words. Ending words. You know the suffix of this one is what? It's like when I say eat. You know the way we are going to learn these things is like in English. They teach you, they say eat. Eating. Ate. That's how we're going to do it. You understand? So, what is the suffix of eating? ENG, right? The suffix of ENG. Is it I said that the suffix is a word that are at the end as well? So the suffix of eating is ENG as well. Do you agree? ING, right? Okay, so now, what are we going to have? Look at this one. The suffix of alkane is ane. It's what? Don't call it ane. Because if you don't call it ane, you'll have a problem. Don't try to kulungulize. Call it ane. There is a purpose for us to call it ane because we're going to learn about another series. And if you have tried to confuse them, you don't call it the way it is, you're going to mix them. Another one is coming, you will see. This one we call it ane. We call it ane. This one, the suffix is ane. It means if we ever find an organic molecule with the word ane, that thing will be a what? An alkane. Will be an alkane. So look at this. The structure of an alkane. This is an example, right? I can write one. Oh, okay, it's fine. I need to show you something. You see carbon. It has created 4 bonds. Last year I taught you that an atom can create bonds based on its valency electrons, right? Check the valency electrons of carbon. Look at the periodic table. How many valency electrons? How many? I told you to cheat last year, you remember? And I said that you look at the top of a periodic table if you want to check the valence electron. Do you remember? At the top of a periodic table, they wrote 1, 2, 3 to the transition element. Then they wrote 14, 15, 16. You remember? And I said you must remove what? The 1, right? And if you remove 1, the number which will be left, it will be the what? The valency electron. Carbon is at number what? It's at number? Don't you have a periodic table? Carbon is at number? Check it, look at it. Don't just say things without looking, guys. We don't just say things without looking. What scientists have. We need to have empirical evidence. Look at the periodic table. You don't have? You don't have? Where is it? You don't have a periodic table. You don't have a periodic table. But you are having textbooks. Here is a periodic table. Here is a periodic table. Can you see this periodic table? Carbon is at number 14, right? And I told you that you remove the 1. When you remove 1, 14 will change and become 4. That tells us about the number of what? Valency electron. Valency electron, these are electrons in the outer energy shell, right? Those electrons, they must exist in pair in order to make a compound to be stable, right? So, to the manner in which we make them stable, it's when they are in pair. They goes into 2, right? 2 njengema pills, What you do after school, right? They must be in what? In pairs. You understand, ne? So, it means since carbon have got 4 valence electrons, it means it can only accept how many more electrons? 4, right? That's why in organic chemistry, we are going to have carbon creating how many bonds? 4. If in a situation, if you can write this, is this correct? How many bonds does carbon create?
4.
Can it create 5 bonds? Can it create 6 bonds? Anytime or whereby you will write a carbon bonding with 5 atoms, just know I am out of order. I am wrong. Because carbon has got 4 valence electrons. It can only bond with how many?
4.
In a situation, because I'm going to teach you how to draw this structure. In a situation whereby I'm going to draw a structure and carbon is bonded with 5 or 6, just know that I'm out of order, right? Because carbon will bond with how many all the time?
4.
Carbon will bond with how many all the time?
4.
Carbon is going to bond with 4. It's the introduction, isn't it?
Yes.
The first homologous series is the first move you are watching. It is called the alkanes. Then the suffix last name, it is called ane. The structure is like this. The description. Can I give you the description of this one?
Yes.
Can you see these lines? You see these lines, they represent the what? The bonds, right? These alkanes, they have got single bonds. They have got what? They're single, guys, they're single. They are what? Just like some of the people, they are single. They're single, this one. They've got single bonds, eh? They've got single bonds. What can we say? Since they are single, we say that they are saturated. They are what? They are saturated. Can I tell you what to be saturated means? It's like this. Have you ever eaten food in the kitchen? Saturated, they have single bond, they are saturated. When you eat food in the kitchen, while you are seated, you eat, you don't. I must have a quick river contagion. Oda, what I look with him, commotion in the line one, it's under no yima. Ushura, or say, Johnny, if we are a little host, I will make a shop order. You will not eat, you will not eat, you will be so full. To be saturated is to be full, right? You cannot be able to accommodate anymore because you are full, right? Remember last year I told you about halogen. Not the halogen, the element which in the last part of the predictable, not the halogen. They are just closer to the halogen. They are what? The noble gases, right? They are saturated and they are not saturated. So tell me here, you see this carbon bonded to 4, right? If I want to bring another element to come, atom to come and bond here, will it be possible? It won't. Why? Because carbon can only bond with how many?
4.
So is it possible for me to bring the 5th one? It is not possible because this one is full. That's why we say it is what? Saturated. So this single bond, they indicate that they are saturated. It's a point, it will be said on the test. The alkanes, they are what? Saturated. Why are they saturated? Because they have single bond. Single bond, it means they are saturated. You learn about this saturation when you were learning about organic molecules in life sciences. Just that you forget easy. When you were learning about this thing of a fat and lipid, you are going to be told that it is saturated. Saturated fats, those kind of fats that solidify. Fat which is not saturated, fats which you use at home, the oil which stays in liquid, it is unsaturated. The one which is saturated is solidified, like the fat of the horse. Okay, it's fine. So this one is saturated. How do we know that it's saturated? It has got how many? Single bond. Single bond tells us that it is what? Saturated. It's a point. It's going to be asked on the test. You get me? Okay, let me teach you how to draw a structure. Look. 1, 2. How many? Okay, let me add. How many carbon do I have? How many carbon do I have? What does 3 carbon mean? What does 3 carbon mean? It's prob, right? So look, the name of this one. You must write hydrogen. Carbon goes with what? So we must have hydrogen bonding here. Hydrogen. We'll have hydrogen bonding. Right? Why do we have hydrogen? Because here we are talking about hydrocarbons. We are talking about what? I'm going to give you the definition of hydrocarbons. It's a molecule that contains carbon and hydrogen only. Remember, I must use the definitions in the what? Exam guidelines. Exactly. You state it exactly how it is. So, can I tell you the name of this one? Because it has got 3 carbon, it means 3 carbon means what? Prop, right? Huh? What is the last name of this one? Can you see the character? It has got single bonds. Can you see? It is saturated. What does it mean? It means it's an alkane because that's the description of alkane, right? Others will not have a single bond. They won't have the same description. So this one is an alkane. What is the last name of this one? Suffix. It's what? Ane. Can I tell you what this one is? It's propane. So in physics we call this one propane. It is propane. Is it difficult? It's interesting. We call this one what? We call it propane. Okay, let me give you this one. I've been telling you that here we are talking about what? Hydrocarbons. I told you that we are dealing with what? Hydrocarbons. Hydrocarbons. What are hydrocarbons? We need to know hydro. We've already had many definitions, right? You read all of them from the exam guideline. Organic compounds that consist of hydrogen and carbon only. It is called what? Hydrocarbon because it consists of hydrogen and carbon only. That's why hydrocarbon is the mixture of hydrogen and carbon. You understand? So they call it hydrocarbon. Hydrocarbon is the mixture of what? Hydrogen and carbon. That's why it is called hydrocarbon. You understand? Eh? So we're going to talk about hydrocarbons. So already we have started. An alkane is hydrocarbon because it consists of what? Hydrogen and carbon only. But as we go deep, as we watch these movies, we deal with these series. We're going to sometimes move out Nyana and add the oxygen. It will no longer be a hydrocarbon. You understand? Okay. Let me raise this. How do we know that it is an alkane? Singing bond. And it means it is saturated. You need to know its characteristics. You need to know its characteristics. You need to know that this one is like this, so that you don't confuse it with another one. Look at this one. It's a hydrocarbon. You must write hydrogen. You don't just write lines only. And you don't use a small letter to represent these things. All capital letters. You hear me? Don't write small letter. Okay. How many hydrogens do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4. What is the name? What is, is it 4? What does 4 mean? But, right? Yeah. So it means it has got 4 carbon. the name of this one, we're going to write what? Butte. We're going to write Butte. We're going to write the Butte, right? Okay, Butte. Is it an alkane? What is the suffix of alkane? And it means this one is butane. Butane. We call it what? Butane. Butane. You hear me? We call it butane. We're going to learn about a lot of things. Okay, what about this one? Pelan zokjigela. Very soon, zokjigela. No popular one. You know what is it that we're learning about in organic chemistry? We need to know the definitions. We need to know the organic compound, the homologous series. We need to know their characteristics. We need to know how to draw. There's a nomenclature. You know nomenclature? Do you know nomenclature? You learn about nomenclature in life sciences. The use of scientific names, right? Eh? What do we call human? The scientific name of human. They are called Homo sapiens, right? That Homo sapien, it's a scientific name. It indicates the word species and genera. They must be together, species and genera. You understand? You know what we call some of the grasses? Ziames. We call it ziames. It's a scientific name. You know, it's like what? When we have a senior one kind, you know? Eh? Or senior one, a fig tree. Eh? These fig trees, they have got different species. They're not the same, all of them. So when scientists they've decided to come up with what we call nomenclature. Nomenclature is a specific name which is given to what? Which is given to one species only. It consists of a species and what we call specific epithet. Okay, let us continue. How many carbons do we have? We have 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Let me tell you something. But I will tell you, I'm afraid to confuse you. Okay, we have 5 carbons, right? What does 5 carbon mean? Pent, eh? The things which some of the people love very much. Pent. Right? Yes. So this one is what? It has to be pentane, right? Yes. This name we must give it to who? Who is pentane here? She's sleeping. She's even sleeping in my class. Oh, she's sick. Okay, my time is up.